Okay, this is a balance sheet basics. This is kind of what you do when you first get actuals imported for a balance sheet. We need to build our own retained earnings, our own year-to-date earning loss. And this assumes I've already created the P&L that's driving a monthly net income. So here I've got my actuals. I'm in my US level, and I'm editing the plan. I have two rows, one for retained earnings, one for year-to-date earning loss. I'm going to start with retained earnings, and I like to build mine with an if statement. So if fiscal month this equals 1, meaning if this is January, I want to go get last month's retained earnings and add that to last month's year-to-date earnings loss. So I have an equity account called retained earnings. Modify it to be last month. Add that to the year-to-date earnings from last month. And that would be if it was January. Now all the other months, I really just want to go get last month's retained earnings. Let's lock that in. Roll that forward. And as far as the year-to-date earnings, I also like to use an if statement because January will behave different than all the other months. So let's do that. If fiscal month this equals 1, if this is January, I want to go get just the net income from the GAAP P&L. And my GAAP P&L is built with custom accounts. So I'm just going to go get the current month's net income. I tend to use a modifier here to roll up, and later if we had multi-entities consolidation, I would actually want to roll several P&Ls into this, but in this case I only have one, but just for later I always add that in there. And if it's not January, I want to cum this, so I'm going to take the same thing, but I want to add it to last month's year-to-date earnings. And I've got that down here. It's already modified. We do not need the roll-up since we're on the same sheet. So just to break this down, if it's the first month, if it's January, go get me this month's net income. Now every other month I actually want to go get this month's net income, and I want to add it to last month's year-to-date earnings, which will give us the cum effect. And it doesn't like something here. It doesn't like the fact I didn't end it with that. Copy forward. Save it. And now we've got a rolling balance here. There are no retained earnings because this particular company only has a few months of actuals, but my test is to collapse assets, collapse liabilities, and ensure now I've got a nice balanced balance sheet. Later we'll talk about checksums, and we'll actually add some metric accounts in here to test this stuff, but simply I just collapse assets, collapse liabilities, ensure these two work, and they're fine. So I've accomplished this for the actuals, but I also want to roll this into my implementation version, or the first version of my forecast. And this is actually quite simple. You can see I'm in my forecast. I'm at the US level where I plan my balance sheet and my cash flow and my GAAP P&L. So I'm just going to copy these two formulas, Control C, Control V, and roll these forward. Save that. And I'd like to take it one step further because once I know this formula works, I don't want anyone to mess with either of these two formulas. I don't want anybody to try to plug retained earnings later or try to change my formula. So I'm going to lock these down. And I do that through admin. manage my sheets. I'm going to manage that balance sheet. And under account groups, I'm going to go find those two formulas that I just built on retained earnings and year-to-date earning loss. I'm going to check this box right here, read only. And that's going to make this one row locked down. I'm going to do the same thing for year-to-date earning loss. And that's plan independent and version independent. So no matter where I am, if I'm in the actuals or forecasts, you'll notice these two rows are completely read-only. This is a good test too, where we can see that our retained earnings formula is working, where at the end of 2012 it takes all of the cum year-to-date earning loss, moves it into retained earnings, and now this is empty because we have yet to build a forecast, but you can see retained earnings just keeps going. And that's it.